Hello everybody, it's Genghis. So recently I gifted a friend a few cuttings of mine, a little Coca-Cola bottle, and um, she had asked me, so like, once the roots grow in the water and stuff, what do I do with the plant? Like, how do I make it into a plant in soil? So I figured I'd go ahead and shoot this video just to show people how easy it is to stick your cuttings into soil to make it a plant. And usually when I do it, I'll use like multiple cuttings to kind of make a full plant instead of just one string hanging out of the pot. And I also told her too, like the way that you can make more cutting strings to make a full plant is if your cuttings start to like grow pretty long, after a certain amount of leaves, you can go ahead and snip it and stick what you just snipped in water, and it'll grow roots just like the where it came from. So again, this is extremely easy. Once you watch this video, you'll probably never have to watch a video again on how to stick pothos in soil. It's that fucking easy. So I have here a tray. You can get these at pretty much any place that sells plants. It's to catch water, make sure water doesn't go all over the place, especially if you have wood furniture, which I do. You don't want your plants to ruin your furniture. So it's always good to get these sort of like liners to kind of catch whatever moisture comes out of your pots. So we have this just to kind of, you hear that? There's been a lot of flight activity around here, and it's making like the house like rattle sometimes. Anyways, oh, while I'm trying to collect my thoughts, I just wanted to give a shout out to my best friend. I love you, Brandon, and I fucking miss you. He was waiting for this video as well. Anyways, okay, so we don't want to make a mess. That's where we're at. Okay, cool. So we have our tray, and then I stuck the pot that I am going to use to put the cuttings in. And in this pot, I put like maybe about 1 inch of soil at the bottom. You don't really need a lot. You can do about 1 inch or 2 just to kind of cover the bottom, and you will have a little bit of the dirt coming out the bottom. So that's why you want to have like a tray to kind of catch it. That way, it's less mess that you'll have to clean up once you're done with this. So I have 5 bottles here with cuttings, and not all of them are ready to go, but majority of them are ready to go. So we'll go ahead. She's hearing the booms. It's my dog. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick the ones that we want. So let's do this one so you can kind of see. So in this, you can see the roots that have grown, okay? And I usually suggest like maybe 3 roots. I mean, it really doesn't need a lot of roots in order to be successful at sticking in soil, but 3 is probably a good number to look out for when you're ready to kind of transport your cuttings. So we do have some that have 3. So let's see. So let's take these 2 out of here. Hey. And we're back. She's done. Okay, so we have the 2 strands that I just took out of the bottle, and as you can see, they have roots. They have plenty of roots. They're not really long roots, but they're fine. They'll work. So we'll put these here. Okay. So next bottle. Yeah, I think we're good. So far, so good. Looks like we'll have a nice full plant when we're done. Okay, so we have this one. These 2 cuttings could probably do a little more. So this one is fine, but these 2 cuttings, and I might have freshly cut these. You see they have no roots. Go ahead and just, if your cuttings still look like this, let them stay in water for a little while longer. Okay, so these are good. This one, not so much, but what I'm gonna do is, in order just to condense, I'm gonna stick this strand in the bottle with the 2 other ones that weren't quite ready. And what I'm gonna do with this water that's in this bottle is I'm gonna use it to water my other plants instead of putting it down the drain. It's kind of not waste water. These, look at these beautiful roots. Look at that. Okay, so these are definitely ready. All right, so let's go ahead and set these aside. okay? So how I usually do it, and I know everybody does it differently, but I've done this a million times and I've never had a problem. So what I'll do is I will collect them and put basically roots together. So I kind of laid them the way that I wanted to, but I wasn't really fully paying attention, so I probably could have done this just a little better. Okay, so we have our cuttings bunched up together. Okay, and we have all our roots down at the bottom, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take some, I have some extra soil right here. Take a little bit of soil. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little in there. And what I'm gonna do is, with my free hand, I'm gonna kind of push some soil to the side. And I will show you here in a second. Pick up some of this soil is from another pot that got replanted. Actually, it might have been from a dead pot, plant, I don't know. I had these ivies that I was trying to grow, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get it in my head to remember to water them. They're in a room with like 15 other plants, and for whatever reason, I remembered to water the other plants, but not the ivy, and of course, ivy died. And I feel bad. I feel like I abused my poor plant. Anyways, okay, so what I did was I stuck some soil in there and I kind of put it towards the side, you know, and so what I'm going to do is basically take my roots, let's see if I can show you. All of my roots are inside of this pot, okay? None of them are broken. They actually fit pretty perfectly. This is actually more cuttings than I thought I was going to work with. I didn't know that so many, and I probably could use a bigger pot, but honestly, they'll still grow fine. And then later, if I so choose, I can transport it to a bigger pot if I want, which eventually I probably will, just to give the roots a little bit of freedom. But I could put this plant in here for now, just to kind of get it set. And what you'll see too with these plants, when you first put them in pots, all the leaves are going to face different weird ways. Some of them are going to face down, some are going to face into each other. You might feel the need to kind of adjust the cuttings to make them make the leaves kind of go up. Don't worry about that. Plants are actually pretty smart. What will happen is, after a while, all those leaves will turn to the direction of where the light is coming from. You won't have to adjust anything. So just put the cuttings in there however they lay, you know, and try to make sure that most of the roots, if not all, are inside of the soil when you do, and eventually the plant will adjust itself. You won't have to do anything to make it not look wonky. I have a plant actually in my bathroom. It's really kind of cute. I know I'm a fucking weirdo when it comes to plants, and I'm just like, oh my god, this one has so much personality. It's a fucking plant, but it moves its leaves throughout the day, and it's basically changing its leaves for the position of the sun. But it's interesting to see, you know, like it looks like a different plant throughout the day because of how the leaves kind of adjust itself all the time. Oop, I missed one. I still have an opening over here. And if I continue to do these videos, I promise I will get better at investing in recording equipment so you can see from different angles what I'm doing. I have in my possession a tablet too that I could use, but it's also a iPad, and I'm shooting this off of my Samsung, so it's a different format, and it makes it kind of more of a pain in the ass to edit it, and so I didn't really feel like doing all that. All right, just a little bit more soil. Actually, I'm gonna move these to the side and get some soil. So any kind of like open areas that you see in the pot, go ahead and just plug soil in there. I'm doing a really bad job too at keeping the dirt in the tray, but whatever. I'm used to getting my hands dirty, so even though I have my nails done, there's always like dirt in them, and I know that turns so many guys off. But it's like, if you understood what I did as a hobby, you might be a little bit more understanding of why I have dirt under my nails. Okay, so we have the soil, and this plant has its leaves are a bit heavy because there's so many of them. But again, you know, eventually I will transport this into a bigger pot. But you can see all the roots are covered. I got my soil in there, right? Okay, so your soil's in there. And because this plant is so top heavy, it's probably not going to be able to hang for a while. And then when the roots do get settled, I will put it in a bigger pot where the soil will kind of be way more than the leaves. Right now, the leaves weigh more than the soil, which is why it wants to tip. But I'm going to set this in an area where there's plenty of light, let it settle a little bit, let it grow a little bit more roots so it can kind of grab some of the soil. And then literally all I have to do is just flip the turn, like say if this is the plant, all I have to do is just turn it over and then pull out all in one, and then just place it into a bigger pot and just put soil around it. So it kind of makes it, it's less messy to be able to transport plants like this as opposed to this where you'll get dirt everywhere. Okay, so now that our soil is in our pot, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some water and we're gonna go ahead and let that soil set. And sometimes the soil, it'll shrink down, and you might need to put more soil on there just to kind of cover up what is no longer covered. Oops. Add a little bit more, which I might have to put a little bit more soil on the top, but as far as the quantity, I think I did pretty okay. Let's put a little bit more on the top. Yeah, a little bit more. Let's get some of these leaves out of the water. I'd usually use like a smaller liner, but currently they're all being taken up by vegetables right now. I just started growing a bunch of vegetables, and then I started sowing a bunch of seeds in my little, I call it my little greenhouse room. So once those vegetables are larger, again, I'm going to transport them to larger pots. And then once my seedlings are decent size to where they can go in bigger pots and be able to survive in the natural atmosphere. Right now, it's in a situation where it's getting a lot of humidity, which is enclosed. So they're really not quite ready to be exposed to real world conditions. But after a certain size, they'll be able to handle it, and then they'll go into those pots that I have that are smaller, that are taking up the trays that I would usually use for a pot this small. So now you just have to be careful with leaves. So like, here's another thing too. Like if you have a tray, and this is just kind of more of a precaution, that is a lot larger than a pot, you don't ever want leaves to just soak in water like that. Like it's just like when you get, like when ladies get flowers and stuff, you don't ever want the leaves to sit in water, because it'll start to rot, and you don't want your plant to rot, especially a live plant. If it's a cut plant and it's in water, it'll stink. Like when you take the flowers out of your vase and you've had rose leaves sitting in water, it's gonna stink. It's because it's rotting plant. So just make sure that when you're getting your plant situated or whatever, and if you have a tray to kind of catch your water, just make sure that your leaves are not sitting in water. Like my leaves right now are sitting in water. When I take this upstairs into the room that I'm gonna have it sit in while it's kind of getting set up, I'm just gonna move this to the side here, and now none of my leaves are in the water. You just don't want them sitting in there because it's just not healthy for the plant. I hope this was helpful for everybody. I will do other videos here shortly. So I made another page for my business, and it is it's root working and dealing with plants. Everybody who's on my personal page, stay on my personal page, well, people who know me personally already know this, but the newcomers that are on my personal page, you're gonna see some weird shit if you continue to subscribe. If you're not a weirdo like me or like my friends who like to watch me do strange shit, go ahead and subscribe to SD Root and Conjure. I will put the link to that page in the comments. That way you can get notifications on specifically plant-related stuff and root working stuff. If you're not into root working, sorry, I'm not making 10 different videos for all 10 of, or well, I've got about 50 hobbies, but the best I can do for you is clumping those together, and then you don't have to watch foot videos and lip videos and things that have to do with fetish, and more so maybe the fetish of plants instead of the fetish of Genghis. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit subscribe if you want to see weird shit, and click the bell. That way you get updates on new videos that I post, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you.